Hello everyone, how's it going? In this particular video, we'll look at something called tuples. In the previous video, we looked at lists and indexing of lists. That's basically a way of accessing the various elements of a list. We saw a couple of ways of doing so. But there is much more to learn about lists, which we will do in some of the subsequent videos. To whet our appetite, let's take a peek at tuples, which is another data structure within Python. Now, what exactly a tuple? A tuple may also be known as a record in some of the other languages. Now, what is a record? A record stores related information. What would a simple example be? A simple example would be that of a student record. So what kind of information could one imagine to be in a student record? We could have information like student ID, student name, school, subjects, etc., etc. Another simple example would be that of an employee record, which could have information like employee ID, employee name, company, manager, etc., etc. So to recap, a tuple basically stores related information of a particular entity. The most obvious examples being that of a student record or an employee record. Now next, let's go about trying to create a simple tuple. It'll be once again on the lines of the creation of a list, which we saw in some of the earlier videos. So let's try and create a simple tuple. So let's go ahead and create an employee record, which we just talked about. So we define a variable called employee_record. Now, unlike in the case of a list where we would use a square bracket, in case of a tuple, you'd use a circular bracket. And let the first field be first name. Let's have the first name as Harry. The last name as John. Company, Wipro. Designation manager. Now, if you would like to print the details, use the keyword print. And let's see what the output would be like. Click on run. There you go. This is the output of the employee record. It's basically a tuple which we just created. Now, one feature of tuple is it is supposed to be immutable. Now, what does it mean? It is immutable because the information in the employee record cannot be changed, because once the employee record has been created in memory, it cannot be changed, which means it's immutable. Now, immutability is once again a concept which you would find in some of the other programming languages if you've been exposed to them. So let's see what happens if we try and modify one of the values which is present in employee record. Let's see we try and change the last name of employee record from John to Tom. So how do we modify this? In order to do that, we would write the following line. So we basically have to access the second element, which in this case would be 1. If you remember, indexing always starts at 0. So in order to access the second element, the index to be used is 1. So we say this is Thomas. Now let's run the program and see the output. So we see an error. So this basically indicates that a tuple cannot be modified. So which goes to show that a tuple is immutable. So this video, we basically saw the introduction of a new data structure called tuple, and one of the features which it has is immutability. In some of the subsequent videos, we will delve further into a list as well as a tuple and some of the other data structures which are commonly used and found in Python. Until then, goodbye.